Sheila Banks here with another video. This one is entitled One Love It Is, and it is based on my blog post that can be found at mysticbeastblog.blogspot.com. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Jesus Christ.
Humanity has been fooled big time. Simply put, we have had a cabal of psychopaths pushing psychological operations designed to distort our knowledge base and shape our worldview. And our politicians have been of no help. They do not care that science, medicine, and education have been taken over by corporate interests. Our leaders have been corrupted and are beholden to this unelected power elite. The goal of these evil ones is to prevent Homo sapiens from evolving into a rational, loving species. They want us confused and fearful so that we remain a slave class and do their bidding.
And this assertion that Homo sapiens has been a slave species is not an exaggeration.
Ancient accounts tell us that an alteration of Homo sapiens genes was done on purpose early on in our species' history. Apparently, a more advanced alien race did so in order to address their need for cheap labor. But what gives these antediluvian narratives credence is the genetic evidence now surfacing.
These days it is difficult to know what to believe. But despite what this cabal of parasites has done to mess with the evolutionary trajectory of humanity, here we are now. Humankind is a species awakening to the facts about our organic predicament. We have a formidable enemy in our midst that is not human. The question remains as to how we are going to deal with this infestation. Right now, I see a lot of finger pointing going on. Some claim our trouble began with the hippie movement, and others attribute it to the feminists. Then there are those who put the blame on the church's milquetoast approach to sin. I'm not sure how these accusations towards one another are going to help us gain freedom from the parasite class ruling over us. The fact is, many of our good ideas have been usurped and put through what Dr. Andrew Lobaczewski calls a ponerological process. This occurs when psychopaths usurp an ideological banner and then subject it to a degradation that in no way resembles the original belief. For example, the original ideology of feminism has nothing to do with the Pussy Hat Brigade, nor does the authentic message of Jesus the Christ have anything to do with the rainbow agenda endorsed in many of the churches these days. So it is best to quit with the finger pointing and work on the solution. At this juncture in evolution, our species' task is to coalesce around a core of conscience. We cannot afford to squabble about religion, politics, and other ideologies which have been subject to ponerological processes. The psychopaths are rolling out their plans for humanity's demise while we continue fussing and fighting with one another. But many humans are baffled about the best use of their free will. We like to think of our behavior as something driven by factors outside the domain of our personal responsibility. For the most part, we lack a conscious awareness of our own psychic processes. We are inclined to believe that our own emotional roller coaster ride is indicative of real events. We often allow our egocentric delusion to culminate in self-imposed misery and much suffering for others. As we peer out from our animal eyes, we do not realize that the remnants of our bestial origins lie incorporated deep within the structures of our human psyche. We do not recognize how our fluctuating brain chemistry deceives us. We are not yet the evolved and logical creatures that we fancy ourselves to be, and rather than face the truth about our humble position, we like to covet illusions about our own virtue and perfection. So much so that some even believe the New Age claims that portray humans as God. Some even believe that what they think is what God is thinking. It is true that the all-encompassing entity who powers our cosmos is the very ground of our being, and for some who have emancipated themselves from the mental slavery brought on by egocentricity, they actually can make contact with the creator of our universe. But the human is not and never will be the Almighty. Jesus knew that and even said so. There is only one who is good, he said, Matthew 19:17. Humankind is a dimension of the emergent universe, and right now humanity, because of the threat from psychopaths, is experiencing evolutionary pressures. Adaptation to the current state of the universe requires actual transformations in our species' consciousness. If humanity is to unite around the core of conscience, each one of us is responsible to become more conscious of the impact of our own behaviors. This means we must be willing to search out the truth about our own thoughts and actions to determine if, in fact, we are operating in accordance with what is required of us. We must be willing to use our minds to tune into that voice of the inner conscience. In a very real sense, we are being compelled to ascend the evolutionary ladder or watch the extinction of our species. The continuation of humankind literally depends on our ability to form a united front. But harmonious human relations are not going to magically appear. First, we must learn to think differently about our existential predicament. Each one of us has to come face to face with our bestial origins and human nature from somewhat of a transcendent perspective as we try to figure out what to do with ourselves. To consider our organic predicament in light of this understanding is to gain a deeper appreciation for why Jesus proclaimed, "Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth."